Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating metaphysical text by Xu Feng that claims to reveal the deepest, most fundamental mechanisms of the universe. We're going to be focusing on a concept you've likely heard of before, but probably never quite like this: the Tao. Regardless of your own personal beliefs, I promise you, this framework offers a completely mind-bending way to look at reality, consciousness, and the very fabric of existence itself.
Because we are dealing with some incredibly abstract concepts today, let's just quickly look at our roadmap. We'll cover the essence of Tao, transcending physical space, the cosmic nervous system, the illusion of time, and finally, unlocking true enlightenment. Let's just jump right in.
All right, Section 1, the essence of Tao.
So how does this text actually define the Tao? Well, it's essentially described as the lifeblood of the universe. The source specifically defines it as the consciousness of the greatest creator. Now, this isn't just some passive, static energy field. It's the active, driving force behind the movement and transformation of literally all things. You can kind of think of it as the ultimate cosmic operating system, running silently in the background, dictating the synthesis of all natural laws.
Now, Xu Feng lists 8 distinct characteristics of this force, everything from holographic order to eternal reliability. But what we're really zeroing in on today is characteristic number 4, transcendence over time and space. The text claims the Tao completely transcends both of these constructs, having absolutely no interior or exterior. And this is where things get genuinely mind-bending, because it directly challenges how we as humans perceive our everyday physical reality.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, transcending physical space.
To help us visualize this idea of a holographic universe with no inner or outer boundaries, the author uses this really elegant analogy. Imagine a single drop of dark ink falling into a glass of perfectly clear water. At first, you can see the distinct drop, but as it disperses, it seamlessly merges into the water until it completely disappears as a separate entity. Eventually, you literally cannot distinguish the ink from the water. There's no inside the ink or outside the ink anymore. The text argues that the Tao permeates our universe in this exact same way.
And this is a perfect way to understand the difference between normal, physical movement and the movement of the Tao. Say you throw a stone into Dongting Lake. The ripples spread outward, sure, but it takes time. If those ripples hit a shoreline or a boat, they stop. They are geographically limited. But Tao propagation, it is entirely different. According to the text, a stimulus anywhere in the Tao propagates instantly everywhere, across all matter and space, with absolutely zero hindrance, no lag time whatsoever.
So how does this instant connection actually happen? Let's hit Section 3. The cosmic nervous system.
To explain this, Xu Feng uses a pretty wild biological analogy, mapping the structure of the universe directly to the human body. Think about your own body for a second. If you prick your toe, your brain registers it immediately, right? There's no conscious delay, you just feel it. Well, the text states that the universe has a central nervous system, just like that. Because of this massive interconnectedness, any subtle movement in the heavenly realms is instantly felt in the human world, and vice versa. Distance simply doesn't exist for this cosmic nervous system.
To put the sheer scale of this into perspective, the author drops a very specific number in the non-material world chapter. According to the text, there are exactly 20 parallel worlds existing concurrently within our universe.
But here's the catch. These 20 worlds aren't just randomly floating out there in isolation. They all intersect at a central hub. The text calls this the 0 point, which it identifies as the residence of the greatest creator. Think of this 0 point as the ultimate cosmic brain we just talked about. It's the center of the nervous system, instantly perceiving every tiny, subtle change across all 20 of those parallel worlds, exactly like your brain processes signals from your limbs.
All right, if space is out, what about time? That brings us to Section 4, the illusion of time.
Having totally dismantled physical space and distance, the source material pivots to deconstruct our human limitations with time. We humans are obsessed with linear time. We experience the past, the present, and the future in a very straight line. But to the Tao, those temporal states are entirely unified. For example, if a life form was a fox in the past, is a human right now, and will be a celestial being in the future, to the Tao, they are all just one simultaneous entity. Past, present, and future are literally happening all at once. To back this idea up, the author actually points to classical literature, specifically strange stories from a Chinese studio. In these tales, characters often cross over into non-material realms where they interact with or even fall in love with foxes and bees as if they were perfectly human. The text suggests that only by stepping outside our restrictive linear space-time reality can we see the lack of distinction here. To Xuefeng, these aren't just fun fairy tales. They're genuine glimpses into how fluid identity and time actually are.
And it gets even crazier when the text brings up historical science fiction to make this time transcendence tangible. Think about this. In 1898, Morgan Robertson wrote a novel called Futility about a massive, unsinkable ship hitting an iceberg. 14 years later, the Titanic actually sank in an eerily similar way. Even wilder, back in 1865, Jules Verne wrote From the Earth to the Moon, and he predicted technical data about a manned lunar launch that closely matched the actual Apollo 11 mission over a full century before it happened in 1969.
So, what's Xuefeng's explanation here? It's not a lucky guess, and it's definitely not coincidence. The text argues that when these writers were deep in thought, they were literally tapping into that timeless Tao. They were entering a space-time tunnel where the future already exists. They weren't imagining things. They were just describing a reality that was already there, waiting to unfold in our slow, linear timeline.
Which brings us to the ultimate payoff. Section 5, Unlocking True Enlightenment.
So, what happens when a human mind actually grasps all of this? Well, the text claims that if you achieve this level of enlightenment, the reward is literal, limitless freedom. You can effortlessly roam the universe. Remember those 20 parallel worlds? The author states an enlightened consciousness can instantly travel from the human world to magnificent places like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands. Just imagine that.
But how do you actually pull that off? Well, Xuefeng sums up the exact method perfectly in this quote. The key here is not to differentiate between inner and outer, not to have a concept of time, but to realize that you are within Tao. Basically, you have to completely ditch the clocks, the calendars, and the physical boundaries of where your body ends and the rest of the world begins. You have to realize that you are the ink, seamlessly blended into the water.
So I want to leave you with this final thought from the explainer today. If the boundaries of space and time, the very things that dictate our daily stresses, our busy schedules, and our physical limits, are truly just unified illusions within the Tao, what is holding your consciousness back from transcending right now? It's a massive question to ponder. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive, and keep questioning the boundaries of your reality.